We don't have anyone in the audience, but a reminder in case someone shows up, there's no public comment this evening. And if Mayor Pro Tem would lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So to note for the record, all council is present this evening. We also have Director Madden, Planning Manager Stallnecker, Interim Director Robeck, Chief Hernandez, and City Clerk Tricia Summers. Council, we have 3 items this evening. The first one is on page 3 of your packet. It is Resolution 25-1987 and Ordinance 2111-25. I'm going to turn the floor over to the Interim Director Robeck.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is to update the fee schedule, and there are several changes that you'll notice in your red line version, including that we were proposing removing the community building rental fees as a surplus of the community building was approved in December of last year. We're proposing updating various land use, subdivision, and environment fees, including reducing some fees as a result of internal process changes. We're also proposing to increase various plumbing permit, mechanical permit, other permit, inspection and investigation fees by the CPIU change of 3.8%. Language has been added at the request of the planning manager to the fee schedule to automatically increase the asterisks, the fees that are identified with an asterisk by the CPIU annually. And lastly, we're proposing to modify the electric reconnection fees so that they're consistent with the water reconnection fees, because those are the same service. And as an add to this, we're also looking to update the related codes specifically to those reconnection fees to remove the fees from code, which is part of our ongoing efforts to remove dollar amounts from code and move everything to the fee schedule. I did pass out in a supplement that there's some changed language in the ordinance to remove the fees from fee schedule, or some language change suggestions from our attorney to the change to the municipal code. And you'll see that change on page 4 of the supplement that I passed out. When we bring this for approval at the next meeting, we will update the red line and the final versions of code to reflect these changes that the attorney has suggested from what you're seeing in the packet that was previously sent out to you. They are just language changes to make it more clear. Does anyone have any questions, clarifications, suggestions?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. I think I know the answer to this question, but most of these, or all these fees are all based on to cover costs, correct?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, and then the increases were to go with the CPI, correct? That's where some of the
Yes.
redlined
Yes, that
came
that
from?
is correct. And we're also proposing making that an annual adjustment
Right,
by
right.
adding the language in red to the fee schedule.
So it'll just happen automatically.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Whalen?
Just a curious question, because I'm trying to read the new information that was handed out tonight, and the page numbers within the our packet.
Oh,
What You're changing things on page 4. What does that represent in our packet?
On our packet, that would relate to page 36 of the packet. So it was just some language that our attorney, or he thought rewording the way that I had initially put it, rewording it would make it a little more clear and direct people specifically to the fee schedule. So when we bring it back next week, I will modify number 3 and 4 on at the top of page 36 to reflect the highlighted, as it's highlighted in the supplement that I provided tonight.
Thank you. I was rushing to try to find it, just to balance it between the two documents, so that's very thankful.
Any other
So-
questions for Interim Director Robeck?
And
Okay.
everyone, no changes as far as adding the CPI language? Everyone's okay with bringing it back with that included?
Okay. So we're going to move on to our next item this evening. It is on page 47 of your packet. It is ordinance 2109-25 with some zoning amendments, and I will turn the floor over to Planning Manager Stallnecker.
Good afternoon. I'm just going to pop up the map because I think that's the most helpful in this. Let's see. All right, so what's before you is a pretty straightforward amendment to the code. It is tied to a state requirement. It's just, so basically, enhanced Senate House Bill 1998. Basically, they have directed cities and counties to include co-living dwellings as a multifamily use in multifamily zones. So in essence, we're just adding another type of multifamily use. The overall intent of this change is to increase the diversity and affordability of housing throughout the city and the region. I included in the packet several of our comprehensive plan goals and policies that do encourage providing a variety and quantity of different houses. So the state's regulations specifically say that we need to allow co-living in areas that we allow multifamily housing. So the proposal is simply the definition, which is co-living dwellings means a building with sleeping units that are independently rented and lockable and provide living and sleeping space with shared kitchen and bathroom facilities. Co-living structures can also be referred to as congregate living facilities, single room occupancy, rooming house, boarding house, lodging house, and residential suites. And so it would be creating the definition, which is presented there. And then if you look on the map, which I've also got on the screen, the areas highlighted in dark blue are our multifamily areas. So that's the only areas, either multifamily or mixed use. So those are the only areas where this would apply. So the idea being is right now we would allow an apartment complex. You could also do what we're calling a co-dwelling, which means instead of every unit having its own bathroom and kitchen, maybe every 4 units shares a bathroom and kitchen, or maybe a floor does. So it just allows another variety and type of multifamily use that could be constructed. I don't see it being highly popular necessarily in Milton. It's a lot more popular near places that have colleges or something. But again, it is a great housing type for people who maybe they're single, they just want to rent, they don't make a lot of money. It's a great opportunity. So, so again, it would be approving the definition, and it would just be adding it to the table of uses, and it would only be allowed in areas that we already allow multifamily. So if there's any questions on that today.
Councilmember Hall?
How did you determine where they would be at?
So because state law basically says it needs to be in any place that you allow multifamily housing.
Okay.
And we allow that in any of our multifamily, our urban our urban multifamily residential and our mixed use zones.
Okay.
Councilmember Schrader, do you have a question?
Well, I was wondering if it pertains, I had a question about what's the example of co-housing and what isn't co-housing?
So the co-living, or does there's,
Well, I thought you called it co-housing or co-living.
it's a co-living, yeah, so co-living. So the examples, again, would be, if you think back, if you know, the traditional, maybe a dorm room from college, a lot of times would have been that way. Or in the 50s, I just read a book where it was very common in different times in our history where you would have a building where each room, it only had a room, but they would have shared bathrooms, and then maybe they'd have a shared kitchen area downstairs. So the advantages to it is, one, it's a lot less money than even a studio. It also, by allowing each person to rent their, so like if 6 people rent a house together and one chooses not to pay, then the other 5 are having to like struggle with that. Here, someone could I rent my space, I don't have to share it with anybody, it's at a lower price, I have my own lease. And so, yeah, so in most cases, it's sort of a dorm-like feel, but it can take on various, or a lodging house. Again, we think back to what used to be a lot more common is people would have lodging houses. On a rare case, it does theoretically could do congregate living facilities, but we already allow that as well. So,
Okay, does this have to do with what the state is mandating with this? Are they addressing this issue?
so yeah, so the state has said, it's included in some of the middle housing legislation that we need to allow this, again, only in in zones that we allow multifamily. So it's not in our single family duplex residential zones. It's only in those that are and it's not allowed in our business or industrial zones, but it's allowed in our urban residential multifamily, our town center mixed use, our urban mixed use, and in some parts of the neighborhood commercial, if it meets, because we allow multifamily in neighborhood commercial if it meets certain guidelines. So again, it would fall in, it's just, in essence, it's another type of multifamily. So if we allow that, then we would allow this as an option.
Is there anything in the city that we have anything like that at all?
Nothing-
This is just for in the future if somebody wanted to build something like
Yeah.
this? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember White, and then Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a question. I've always considered a duplex to be a multifamily building. Does the state consider that? I'm just wondering if.
No,
if
if
it's-
I didn't finish the sentence when I said that. It is in areas that allow multifamily housing with 6 or more units per lot of land. So for us,
Okay.
so yeah, it's at least where we allow at least 6 units. So for us, it would be those that we've identified.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yep,
Makes a difference.
yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. Yeah, so it'd be like, you've seen people who have taken, very old homes and then converted them into apartments, and you may have a bathroom down at the end of the hall and the kitchen downstairs. So it's that same concept.
It's that same concept, but in this case, we're not, it is that concept, but for us, that would be hard to do because there's probably not those type of buildings in our multifamily.
Right, that's what I was going to say. So that sort of house would then have to be currently where these zones now, where the
Yeah.
zoning is being proposed.
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Any other questions for our planning manager? Councilmember Whalen?
Just for a point of clarity and so forth, we do see, well, I'm going to call it the blue area. I'm not sure how, what is that, CF? I'm trying to coordinate the two of them. Off of, what would that be? 15, 16, 17.
Anything that's CF is community facilities, and this would not be allowed in that zone.
Okay, I'm trying to look at the map and I'm
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
anything that's outlined in that darker blue.
in the darker blue.
Yeah, so I've kind of tried to outline it in the dark blue.
I'm not that good in, is this an outline of darker blue?
No.
Okay, which one in this map? This is outlined in darker blue.
So yes, the pinkish and so there, can you see yes. So up here, if you look up there or behind you, I've got my little mouse kind of wiggling.
It doesn't come out on that one, huh? Only this one?
It's got a little hand there, so up there.
Wait,
Yep,
let me, give me a minute to
yeah,
get your perspective.
yep. So do you see the little hand up there? At the very top of the mouse, I'm kind of moving it around.
Okay, so that's bordered in the.
So that one over here, where it's this little strip,
That's off of 99,
yep. This little strip here,
off of 90, oh,
this is our multifamily. There's some multifamily down here, down off of Milton and 20th. And then technically the Uptown District, right in the middle. And then everything over here that is Uptown and multifamily.
okay, so it's a larger area than I first thought when I was reading and looking at this. It's outlined. So that helps me quite a bit. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for our planning manager? Okay, so this will come back to next week's council. And then the last item we have this evening is on page 57 of your packet. It is ordinance 2110-25. It is another zoning amendment, so I'm going to turn the floor back over to our planning manager.
And this one is hopefully even more basic than the last one. Recently, as everyone is aware, we just got through updating our comprehensive plan and associated zoning amendments. And with that, we kind of color-coded and came up with a brand-new table of uses that looks lovely. Unfortunately, if you look on page 63, when I was moving from one of the draft versions to the final version, when you kind of look in the middle, I've got it surrounded by red where it says drive-throughs. The urban mixed use little box there did not get checked to allow drive-throughs, and that's probably where we have most of our drive-throughs. And so all this is to do is to allow drive-throughs in the uptown mixed use, which is along Meridian. So this is just to correct that error.
Any questions? Councilmember Strader?
I was just wondering, I thought we do have a drive-through where like for the coffee stands, for instance, they have food that they give out at their through the coffee stands. You can get a breakfast sandwich or whatever. Does that pertain to them?
Yeah, so like I said, currently we allow a lot of drive-throughs, and historically we've always allowed them. We've got anywhere from the coffee shops to Dairy Queen, any of those are drive-throughs. So it simply was a typo error from the draft document to the final document. It should have had allowed in that square, and it didn't. So we want to continue to allow drive-throughs going forward, so we just need to have that. So, yeah.
I thought you said this only pertains to everything on Meridian.
So right now, so the uptown mixed use is that stretch.
Okay.
So right now, our code says you can't have drive-throughs in that area. So this would fix that and say that we could have drive-throughs in that area. We also allow drive-throughs in a few other areas, but yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. The
Yes,
the
we-
coffee
yes.
stands that are on.
Yep.
On
Yep.
Taylor, or not Taylor, but.
Yeah, yeah, so
Milton Way.
yeah.
Hilton Way.
And if you, yeah, along that line, we correctly have, they're allowed in the town center, they're allowed in the business district, they're allowed in the neighborhood commercial, they're allowed in M1. It just, instead of an A, it was, I put a squiggly line. So just trying to make it match and allow it, yeah.
Thank you. That answered.
Councilmember Whalen?
Well, thank you, and thank you, but I'm a little bit confused too, but
Okay.
something a little bit new. Does this have anything to do with a new pizza shop?
No,
So that's a drive-through, and it's, so we're just encompassing this to recognize it in other areas in that particular center of town.
so yeah, so prior to the adoption of the new code in January, we allowed drive-throughs in the Uptown District. When I made the final document, somehow when I transferred the allowing them did not get transferred to the new update. So when we adopted it, we actually changed it from being allowed to not being allowed. So I'm just trying to correct that and make it be allowed again.
So it's a correction of just a small misstep. and so
Yep,
forth. That
it's-
happens all the time. Okay,
yep.
I'm not getting,
Yeah, it's just correcting it back to what it was prior to the last, to when we made the changes in January.
okay, because I kind of remember a little bit of allowance here, there, and so
Yep.
forth. And it just confused me a little bit, but your discussion has helped me clarify my mind. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Cedar?
Were there any applications for new buildings that this affected?
Not yet. We have had, there is there are some sites that have, that's some of what brought it to my attention is I had discussions with somebody and I happened to look at it and go, what do you mean it's not allowed? And so that's what made me, and then I went back and looked and went all the drafts up until I think I made the nice, clean final one had showed it was allowed. So somehow I flip-flop my thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing this forward. I doubt this was anyone's intention. It seems like the Scrivener's error, but it's on us for not catching it. So
Yeah, and
thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct to fix things. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? All right, so this will come back to council next week as well. Well, seeing that all items have been concluded this evening, I will adjourn at 4:24 p.m.